good evening and a warm welcome to the news live on Rupavahini Channel I. I'm Sharam Mascarenhas.
And I'm Tarak Tiarachi. First, a look at the stories making the headlines this evening. Public and private sector services recommence according to health protection guidelines. Verdict received from the courts that the imposed curfew is legal. The President states untiring efforts are needed in controlling COVID-19 whilst keeping the economy and public life active. Permission granted to keep wholesale and retail outlets open.
Now for those and other stories in detail, starting off with local news. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa emphasizes that whilst keeping the economy and public life active, everyone should work with untiring efforts to control COVID-19. The President states that when taking plans forward, lessons need to be learned from previous oversights and caution need to be exercised to prevent a recurrence of such lapses. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa expressed these views at a discussion held with the Presidential Task Force on the control of COVID-19 today. The President noted that the economic activity has recommenced throughout the island, and although a pandemic situation was experienced, no room should be left for a famine to follow. The President emphasized on carrying out continuous testing and also to identify how a large number of COVID-19 confirmed cases were reported from the Kesalvate area and the Navy. The President also pointed out the importance of conducting random tests at locations where people gather regularly, including the Manning Market, construction sites, buses and three-wheelers. The importance of educating the public who regularly visits such locations was emphasized as a measure to prevent the further spread of the virus. The Ministry of Health has sent a set of guidelines to the Ministry of Education on how school children need to be managed and the possibility of reopening schools in the compliance with these guidelines. The President pointed out the importance of educating the students over the media before the recommencement of schools. 3,297 students pursuing education overseas and temporary visa holders have been flown back to the country and sent to quarantine. The President stated that flying back migrant Sri Lankans should be done with controls in place so that the country is not faced with the risk. Health issues and social issues amongst the rural folk have risen due to consuming illicit liquor. The security units points out that reports have been received that illicit liquor is being traded at exorbitant prices. The risk that this situation would result was discussed at length. Meanwhile, the recommencement of physical fitness activities such as the use of jogging tracks and activities that enhance mental health were also discussed. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that the issuance of air tickets and identity cards at district level by networking biodata into one database needs to be expedited. The President advised the task force to reassess the technical and managerial methods on preserving agro-harvests and utilize such methods as required. The discussion was also attended by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, Health Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi, Western Province Governor Marshal of the Air Force Roshan Gunathilaka, Presidential Secretary P.B. Jayasundara, Chief Advisor to the President Lalit Veeratunga and the Secretary to the Health Ministry Major General Consultant Dr. Sanjeeva Munasinghe attended the meeting.
DIG Ajit Rohana states it has been accepted in court that curfew imposed upon the request of the health authorities in the efforts to prevent the spread of COVID-19 pandemic is legal. The DIG points out that this acknowledgement by the courts is a step forward in the country's health chronicles and legal sphere. Gampaha Chief Magistrate Manjula Karnaratna pronounced a 15-page historic verdict in this respect. DIG Ajit Rohana said the esteemed clearly pronounced its decision that the curfew imposed upon the instructions of the Director General of Health Services and in good faith of the public is legal. Therefore, the DIG states that extremely stern action will be taken against curfew violators. The DIG also explained that around 83,000 police personnel were deployed when imposing curfew in the country upon the request of the health officials in efforts to control the COVID-19 spread. And the court has given a clear decision on the legality of the curfew. Several public and private sector organizations commenced work today. With the spread of the coronavirus, the health sector experienced a rush. However, the service they provided to the public is priceless. Although over the recent past, individuals arrived at hospitals only for the most necessary treatments, today patients were seen visiting the OPD of hospitals as usual. The patients reportedly arrived for treatments paying adherence to health protection guidelines.
දුරකථන ඇමතුමක් ලබා දීලා වෙලාවත් දිනයක් වෙන් කරගෙන ප්‍රතිකාර ලබා ගන්නවා නම් ඉතාමත්ම පහසු වෙනවා. පොරොත්තු ලේඛනයේ ඉන්න සලකනු සඳහා පැමිණෙන රෝගීන් ඔවුන්ට අපි දුරකථන ඇමතුමක් ලබා දෙනවා. ලබා දුන්නාට පස්සේ තමයි රෝහලට පැමිණෙන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම රෝහලට සායන වලට හෝ ඒ සලකනවට පැමිණීමේදී රෝගියා සමග එමව හෝ පියා යනාගේ එක්කෙනෙක් පමණයි පැමිණෙන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම අවධානය යොමු කරන්න ඕන. ඒ පැමිණීමේදී අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මුව වැස්සමක් නැත්නම් මාස්ක් එකක් දාගෙන ඉන්න ඕන.
The Colombo Stock Exchange, with suspended transaction on the 11th of March, recommenced trading today. Services of the Postal Department also returned to normal. The Postal Department, during the curfew period, ensured the service of delivering pensions and allowances to beneficiaries.
තැපෑල සඳහා අවස්ථාව සලසා දෙන්න කියන එක. නමුත් අපිට ප්‍රායෝගික ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. දේශයන් සඳහා ගමන් කරන ගුවන් යාන ගමන් නොකිරීම මෙතෙක්. නමුත් නාවික තැපෑල වගේන් කරනු ලබන ගනුදෙනු වලට රටවල් 13ක් විතර සඳහා අපිට පුළුවන් වේවි. ඒ පිළිබඳව අපි ඉදිරියේදී ඉතා කඩනමින් දැනුම් දීමක් කරනවා. කොයි රටවල් වලටද අපිට තැපෑල් ප්‍රවාහන කටයුතු සිදු කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ කියන කාරණාව. ඊට අමතරව දේශීය වශයෙන් ගත්තාම අද දවසේ අපි ආරම්භ කරා ගොවි විශ්‍රාමයට ගෙවීමේ කටයුතු. ඒ වගේම ඉදිරි දවස් කිහිපයත් ඒ කටයුත්ත සිදු වෙනවා. අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවාවන් පවත්වාගෙන යාම සඳහා අපේ අවම කාර්ය මණ්ඩලය යොදවා ගැනීමෙන් තැපැල් කාර්යාල කටයුතු අද සිට ඉදිරියට විධිමත්ව පවත්වාගෙන යන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
අත්‍යවශ්‍ය ආහාර ද්‍රව්‍ය
Trade stalls in Colombo Fort and Petta, which sell essential commodities and food items, were reopened this morning. Meanwhile, our correspondent states that with the lifting of curfew, a large number of farmers had arrived at the Dambulla Economic Centre to sell their vegetable produce.
විනයානුකූලව හැසිරුණා අපේ සේවක සේවිකාවන්ට කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබුණේ නැහැ අද. ඒ නිසා අපි ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා හෙටත් අනිද්දාත් හැමදාම මෙවැනි සමාජ දුරස්ථභාවය තියාගෙන ඔබට අවශ්‍ය අත්‍යවශ්‍ය භාණ්ඩ ලබා ගැනීම කියා අපි ඔබෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
සුපිරි වෙළඳසල්ද
Health protective measures were facilitated for customers and the 1 meter distance was maintained. The network of Satos outlets took steps to sell goods to the public throughout the island. Several industrial zones in the island also reopened today. Their employees were provided transport and facilitated with health protective measures. A discussion was held this morning, chaired by Minister Vimal Veeravansa, with the Factory Protection Guild's representatives of the Central Bank and officials of state and private banks. The objective of this discussion was to discuss the issues faced by factory workers. The Ministry of Education states with effect from tomorrow, students hoping to apply to schools to pursue their A-levels can do so online. For this purpose, applicants can access website www.info.moe.gov.lk. An applicant can apply to a maximum of 10 schools. The Ministry of Education says all applications should be submitted before the 12th of June.
The Met Department forecasts the prevailing showery condition in many places of the island to enhance to a certain extent within the next few days due to a lower atmospheric disturbance. Director General of the Department of Meteorology, Atula Karunanayaka, says rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters of rain can be expected in some places in the central, Sabragamua, Uva, southern, western, northwestern and eastern provinces. As the Dadaroya reservoir reached spill level, 2 of the 8 spill gates were opened by 1 foot each last night, releasing a water capacity of 1,500 cubic feet of water per second to the Dadaroya.
දීවර ප්‍රජාව ගත්තොත් විශේෂයෙන්ම මන්නාරමේ ඉඳන් කොළඹ හරහා මඩකලපුව දක්වා තියෙන ගැඹුරු සහ නොගැඹුරු මුහුදු තීරවල තනින් තන වැසි හෝ ගිගුරුන් සහිත වැසිය තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේක තියෙන්නේ සන්ධ්‍යා කාලේ හෝ රාත්‍රී කාලේ.
The Navy took steps yesterday to clear waste congested under the Wakwella Bridge to the Ginganga in Galle as a preparation to face a possible flood situation. A risk of a rise in the upstream water level of the river is prevalent due to the congested garbage. A team from the Navy diving unit joined in the operation upon the guidance of Command of the Southern Naval Command, Rear Admiral Kasapa Paul. Meanwhile, the police headquarters has issued a special notice on the steps that need to be taken to restore normalcy to public life whilst curfew is in place in Colombo and Gampar districts. Only a necessary headcount of employees need to be summoned for duties. Public sector employees arriving at their workplaces in their private vehicles or by office transport need to report for duty before 8:30 a.m. and should leave their workplace before 4 p.m. However, these duty times will not be relevant for state institutions that works on shift basis. Employees of the private sector should arrive at their workplaces between 8:30 and 10 a.m. and should cease work before 5 p.m. The police state health guidelines need to be adhered to when using public transport services. Permission has been granted for organizations providing essential public services and trade stalls to be kept open. Consumers should approach the closest trade stall or service provider for purchases. Private vehicle owners who are in possession of curfew permits issued for attending to public requirements should travel between 10:30 a.m. and 3 p.m. only. It is mandatory for them to also adhere to the health guidelines.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. The national news broadcast will return tomorrow, and until then, a very good night to you all.